cars are fun to drive, right? But sometimes they need a bit of work to get them running at their best.
It's getting a bit late today. The next topic is a bit long, talking about RC car maintenance.
Oh yes.
Shall we get on to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're going to do a bit of live work on which car you got there? Oh, your
My
famous-
favorite.
Your Mad Van.
Mad Van is back.
Mad Van has been all around the world. So he's here to get a little bit of work done.
Let's get some tools.
Just going to get freshened up a bit.
Do we get the mat? We get a mat?
Oh, we got the mat.
Professional. So
Yeah. Okay. So
Here we
we've got a
go.
pit mat.
okay. So why are we talking about this? Well,
Well, I mean,
Do you-
cars are fun to drive, right? But sometimes they need a bit of work to get them running at their best.
absolutely. If you play with this and you don't maintain it, the fun goes away after a little bit. So sometimes some minimal maintenance does improve your experience by a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need much really.
Well,
Just
it
a
doesn't
bit
need
of
a lot
cleaning.
time and doesn't
bit of
need a lot
maintenance.
Yeah, it's not that
So
difficult.
this car's been with me for a while, and having a discussion with a customer last week, and I realized that this car's got like a really shiny wheel, and it's shiny because the shocks have been leaking.
Ah, yes.
After lots of tumble and lots of traveling around, the
Yes.
shocks have been leaking. So obviously this can cause lots of things. The car won't handle too well, and eventually you crash it and you break it.
Yes.
So it's actually not very difficult to do this kind of maintenance. You need a couple of tools.
Yeah. So just take off the body.
Take
so
off the body,
you get access to it all.
and so once you have a car without the body, then you can start inspecting it. And as
Yeah.
you can see,
Oh,
this
you
is really
can really
shiny.
see there now.
You can definitely
Yeah.
see that it's
It's really
shiny.
dark, yeah.
You can see that's lots of oil all around here. Let's go back to this one. See. Oh, okay, let's bring up a little bit so everyone can see. There we go. So as you
Yeah,
can
it's
see,
pretty
there's
well
lots of
illustrated there, yeah.
oil and dirt, and you can see that also the shock retainer popped off. So definitely we had some kind of a crash in here.
Yeah. Oh, you just got to move your car down a
Oh,
bit.
sorry.
That's it.
I was looking at the car, not the camera. And so what you need to do is to remove the shock and refill it.
Yeah.
And as you do that, you should probably give it a good clean to everything, really.
Yep.
So, what tools
Alright.
do we need to do this?
So I guess the first thing to do would be you take the shock off. So with the shock, it'll be held on the top of the shock and at the bottom. So different cars can vary. So this particular one's actually screwed together. Some of them are ball jointed, so they just snap off. But this one's all screwed on. So we'll need this one's got hex.
So you need a
Hex screws, or a 2 mil.
2 millimeter.
Yep. So we've got a 2 millimeter hex there.
So let's stand this camera here.
Yep. That's the angle, is it right?
Yeah, should be good.
Yep. Okay.
So you remove the shock like so. So don't be afraid to do this. You're not going to break anything. Just take a picture, perhaps, if you're unsure.
Yep.
So you remove the screw, put them aside.
Yeah,
So
it's a
move
good idea to take pictures and then try to remember where all the screws went, because occasionally the top screw may be different length to the bottom screw.
That's right. That's a very good suggestion. I'm really good at putting the wrong screw in the wrong.
I got a different size.
The top is 2.5.
Right.
So we're using a toolkit from 9 steps here, and
Yep.
there's a bit of a range of tools that you need for most that you should be able to cover most repairs. So that's how you remove your shock like this.
Okay, so the shock's off.
Shock's off.
Yep.
So as you can see, really oily. We don't have any paper here.
Yep. I'll go get you some paper.
Get some paper.
So we're just taking the spring off. So let's set the screws down.
So let's wait for some paper. So here you have some spacers which are normally used to adjust the ride height. So we remove those for a moment as well. But BJ come back with paper. Here we go.
I have a question for you guys regarding the screws.
Yes.
Would it be a good idea, like with computer building, same idea, to manage where your screws are taken out of? So if you've got a laptop at the top and take them out. On the
Definitely.
right.
Yeah, if you can keep them in the basic area. I mean, sometimes when I take off a shock, I even leave the screws within the top of the shock, just so I know which one goes where. And then I'll just remember that the top ones are placed at the top of my mat, and the lower ones are at the lower end of the mat. So you go step by step. You won't need to always refer to the instructions.
So in this case, it's completely empty. You can see there's absolutely nothing
Yeah,
here.
you can't feel anything, can you?
So when we talk about shocks, there's lots of different type of shocks.
You're right. Yeah.
In this case, it's a very basic shock. So that doesn't need much work. But
Yeah. So some of them have a slightly different design. So the main differences are the way the top works. So some of them have a rubber diaphragm in them. Some don't. And some that don't have the diaphragm, they also have the bleed screw, which allows the excess oil out. Now this one is a more common sort of diaphragm type.
Yep.
So you might be able to just see that little diaphragm coming off now. So they're probably the easiest shocks to refill.
Yeah.
Because basically when you're putting the oil in, you make sure that so you get all the excess oil out. So clean them all up so you can make sure it's all fresh going in.
So you can probably spray some contact cleaner. There's other thing you can use, but making sure that it's as clean as you can.
Yes.
Normally, once after you use the car for a little bit, the oil may come out a bit brown
Yes.
or a bit greyish, not
Yeah.
as clear as when it's new.
Yeah.
So you know that definitely that oil has done a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, yours is pretty clean.
This is quite clean actually,
Yeah.
definitely clean. It
It's
just
pretty
slipped
clear.
out really. It's probably a bit of a crush and it looked out really. So at this point, let me get my suspension holder here and some oil.
Yeah.
So we can put this one here like this.
Yeah. So the holders are pretty handy, so it keeps your hands free. I mean, if you don't have one of these, you can always hold it with one hand. You just got to
Definitely.
really balance the oil with the other one.
So something we should talk about actually. Let me grab a couple of different bottles I took before. Oils come with different weight.
Yes. So
Different.
yeah. So the different weights means different thickness or viscosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the higher the number, the thicker the oil is going to be. Now, in general, for an off-road car, you'd probably be looking at about 30 or 40 weight.
30
Is it
40
a
weight.
general?
This is a general indication.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I have some 40 weight oil here.
Yep.
And we're gonna quickly pour it into the shock. So there's different techniques here.
So just giving it a light squeeze, so a little stream going in.
So you fill it to almost the top. What you do
Yep.
at this point, you slowly put your piston up and down,
Yep.
and you should be able to see a little bubble or few bubbles coming up.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, you want the air to actually escape, so you
That's
don't have
right.
trapped air in the shock.
Yeah.
Specifically, if you have a diaphragm,
Yeah.
it should be free of air.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, so when you're pouring it in, because there'll be no oil underneath the piston, so that's where the trapped oil needs to escape. Because if you don't get rid of all the air will mix into the oil and basically make it really thin and inconsistent.
That's right. So
Okay, so there you've just topped it up a little bit after all
top
the
it up
air's
a little
gone through.
bit. So generally speaking, at this point, you leave it here for a little bit, so you let
Yeah.
all the bubbles come up.
Yep.
So they tend to the air release goes out.
Yeah.
And at this point, we can reassemble everything.
Yeah.
Put the diaphragm back in. Now, at this point, it's normal to have a little bit of spillage.
Yeah. So a bit of spillage is good. So with the diaphragm, good to put it in sort of sideways and you bleed the oil through the side. So that way you know there's only oil coming out and there's no air going back inside. Okay, so diaphragm's back on, a little bit of oil out the side so we know it's fully filled, and then the cap goes back on the top,
Okay. So
and then you just tighten it up until it's finger tight.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So at this point, the shocks is finished, is built.
Yeah.
There's quite a few, if you're into racing and performance, there's quite a few other aspects of this rebuild that you can look at, including what's so-called rebound.
Yes. So
Okay.
rebound is how much the shaft comes back out after it's been pressed all the way in.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So in this case, you can see
It's
it's
a little
about
bit.
half rebound, roughly. Now, in racing, this is a very important aspect, and you tend to actually measure it.
Yeah.
However, in my experience, it's very hard to keep it consistent.
Yes.
So unless you tend to rebuild the shocks all the time,
Yeah.
this is very, very difficult to keep it nice and consistent. So when I play my cars, normally I tend to keep them at 0 rebounds
Yes.
because that's definitely consistent.
Yes.
It's always 0. So
Yeah.
normally if you use this shock for a little bit,
Yeah.
it would eventually slowly go down to 0 rebound.
Yes.
So to have a consistent builder like that, it would be probably easier.
Yeah.
In my experience, rebuilding shocks, it actually makes the car handle a lot better.
It does. Yeah.
So it's not a difficult exercise, as you can see. It
Yeah.
doesn't take too long.
No.
But if you refresh the shock oil in your car, you will find immediately much better performance actually.
Yeah. Feels a
Bit-
lot smoother.
A lot smoother,
Yeah,
a lot more
handling will
controllable,
be- yeah.
a lot more predictable actually.
Yes.
And so, got to this point, you can put everything back together really.
Yeah.
Put your
There's a shock collar.
shock collar here.
So I guess one thing I should mention is when you're moving the shaft up and down when you're getting rid of the air bubbles, it's really important that you do it really slowly because
Yes.
no one told me to do that. And when I was a kid, naturally you look down the centre of the shaft to see what it's doing, and you pull it up really quick, and you get an eye full of oil, which isn't really that fun because it's, when you're a little kid, you think you've been attacked and you run away screaming and crying, and don't want to see anyone else, experiencing that.
Definitely.
So just do it gently. It'll work much better. You won't get any oil in your eye.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, and this is how you rebuild a shop in literally 3 minutes.
Yeah, really quick.
Definitely. So,
Yeah.
and at this point, you can put it back on your car. In this
Yeah.
case, we're definitely going to give it a quick clean.
Yeah.
There's lots of oil everywhere, but this is a quick tutorial to demonstrate that it's a really easy process to do.
Yes.
And then maintaining your car is a important aspect of the hobby.
Yes.
And it's not very difficult either.
No.
As you can see, take your time, and you should be able to get your car up and running really,
Yeah.
really quickly.
Yeah. Makes a huge difference.
If you're going to the velodrome, before going to the velodrome, rebuild your shocks,
Yes.
because you want to have 4 shocks equal, and otherwise you start having the car pulling different directions and not being consistent. So, and most importantly, when you rebuild a shock, you should rebuild at least the front end or the rear end.
Yes.
I
Make sure
suggest
it's
you do them
matched.
all the same,
Yeah.
and you put the same oil at the front and the same oil at the back.
That's right.
All actually in pairs, obviously.
In
So
pairs, yeah.
often you tend to run different oil consistency and the front and at the back. Sometimes it can be a bit stiffer at the front.
Yeah.
Depends from your setup.
Yeah.
Run really.
Yeah.
But
So basically, a different way to the oil control how quickly the shocks react.
definitely,
So the heavier oil, the slower reacting it is.
definitely.
Yeah.
So very good. Let's see if there is any questions here. Thank you, Tony. Tony has put the tutorial. You're welcome. And see what else is here. Jump on Facebook if there is any comments there. Looks like we cover everything.
Don't take us for the colour of the McLaren.
Actually, true. We haven't settled on the color actually.
No.
Not yet. Actually, I forgot to mention about this tool. Actually, this
That's
is
the
an Aromax
multi-tool.
multi-tool. This is one of the most versatile tools that you have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
You can do so many things with this that you don't know until you have it. But generally speaking, you probably saw me before clamping on the shock body to remove the shock cap. So you do things like this, hold your shock body like this.
Yeah. Because the great thing is it's got the curved jaws. Because
Exactly.
we try to do that with a regular pliers, we just slip out.
Definitely. But more importantly, when you're trying to do your ball ends like
Yep.
this, you hold it like that without scratching or damaging the shaft, and you can undo your ball ends.
Yes.
Really,
yes.
really important. And finally, you have this little pin here
Yep.
that is to remove the ball ends. Like
Oh, I
this.
just squeeze it and push
Squeeze
it
it
through.
and push it out.
Yep.
So it's probably easier to see on the side here.
When you first see one of these tools, it looks like a crab or a lobster cracker.
So as you can see, this one here, this. Oh, we're stuck, guys. Here we go.
Yeah.
So this little one here, this little pin here, is designed to pop this little ball out, and off you go, and it's out.
No effort at all.
No effort at all. And then you can pull back in. And as I was shown before, you can hold your shaft like this
Yep.
and undo your ball ends.
Yeah, you don't want the shafts scratched, otherwise they start tearing
Definitely.
the O-rings.
And exactly. And here is to hold your shock body as you undo your top. So very useful tool. Is an investment that will be with you for a very long time, and will save a lot of damage shocks and other parts, because you can use this for quite a few different things. And
Yeah.
this tool is from Aromax.
It's good stuff.